Hey, what's going on everybody? It's Mike here and welcome to my first video of my new brand. Please stand by. Guys, I am so excited today to be bringing to you my first piece of content. You know, obviously this whole idea, if you've been following my channel before, is something I've been working on this entire year, and today is sort of day one. It's the first day, it's a new beginning, and I am incredibly excited. I can't keep from smiling, and I'm very excited to bring you guys on this journey with me. Now, if you saw my channel announcement video, you'll probably know that all these videos that I'm gonna be creating are mostly going to be about things that I'm trying for the first time, and today's video is no exception. So today I've got in store for you guys a very fun video, not only just from my end where I'm going to be updating my PC and sort of moving everything into a new case, which we'll talk about in a minute, but if you're somebody who is interested in computers, or is someone that, you know, maybe you have an old PC as well and you're looking for some ideas or different ways that maybe you can speed up your system, this video might be for you. Hopefully you might learn something here. When I built this computer, my old computer, it was top of the line for 2015, and today I am going to be updating it, which is something I've never done before. I've never taken parts from one system and moved them to another system / created a new system out of that. So that is my new experience for today, and I'm very excited about that. If you guys have any new experiences that you're going to be doing today or this week or this month, please let me know down in the comments section below. Okay, so you can see the ring light reflection here, but this is the old PC, the 5-year-old PC rig. This is what I call the SwifterBox 11000. Now today we're going to be making a totally new PC, sort of with a new name, and it's going to be a heck of a lot of fun, but most of what is inside of here is actually going to be going inside of our new build, with a couple exceptions. We're going to be updating the graphics card, and I'm going to be, well, I would like to do some overclocking on the processor, so I have purchased a new liquid cooling unit that we'll be putting in the new case as well. We're going to be installing a solid state drive, which I've never used before, so that's going to be super fast and awesome and super cool. Yeah, I just wanted to kind of give a moment of silence here for this computer that I built in September of 2012. I'd never built a computer before. I put this thing together and booted her up, and first try, she worked. So I'm hoping to have the same kind of luck today when I build this new one, but let's just give like a little moment of silence for the SwifterBox 11000. This computer got me through the last 5 years on YouTube, basically. Enough emotional whatever, let's get to it. Now real quick before we begin, as you guys can see, I've got the pile of parts behind me. I'll go through those kind of one by one, and I'll kind of be talking about different things as I get this build underway. But why am I doing this? Well, the reason I wanted to do this was, one, like I said, the computer that I have was 5 years old. It wasn't really slow by any stretch of the imagination. However, some tasks, you know, a lot of times with Adobe, the newer Adobe programs, or just with stuff like 4K becoming more modernized and is kind of like just right around the corner in terms of being more of a mainstream thing, I wanted to just try and update this computer as best I could without having to go and build a new one. If you guys have looked at PC parts at all in the past year, you'll know that a lot of parts actually have kind of gone up in price, and a lot of that has been due to cryptocurrency miners. So I didn't want to go the route of totally building a fully new computer, which for me would have required a new processor, which then also requires a new motherboard, new RAM, and from there, you know, you're basically got a whole new system. So what this system will have in it will still be the same processor. It's the it's from 2012. It's a 3rd generation Intel processor. It's the Core i7 3770K, which is the K version, so it's unlockable. And for 5 years, I've never overclocked it. So it'll kind of be like we're getting a new processor today, in the sense that I'm hoping to overclock it, which will be essentially getting additional free performance out of it, which I'm very excited about, but also something I've never done before, so I'm kind of nervous. But because it's a 3rd generation processor, I'm still gonna be using it with the Gigabyte motherboard, the Z77X motherboard that I have, as well as the 16 gigabytes of DDR3 Corsair Vengeance RAM, which I'm also thinking about maybe overclocking to. I don't know, it's at like 1600 megahertz, so we'll see if I can do that in the BIOS later. But first, we have to set everything up and get the system running and working before I can even think about doing this stuff. So this might be a multiple day build, but let's get to it. I'm gonna try and shoot some different angles with GoPros and stuff for you guys to see kind of inside the case as I build and put this thing together. I've been waiting to do this for so long. And of course, another reason that I'm doing this is that with the new idea and content that I'm going to be putting out on YouTube, I wanted to have a more modern and updated rig, so that not only could I hopefully make videos faster and have less of a headache during the editing process, as well as when I use do photography things, like when I use Lightroom and Photoshop and stuff like that. But also, I would like to continue playing games, obviously, like I mentioned in the announcement video, for you guys over on Twitch. So an updated rig will allow me to continue playing the most recent titles, especially when I have a GTX 1080 for the win 2 edition inside this PC. So let's get started. I'm so excited. Let's go. All right, guys, got the sweet natural lighting. I've got my PC right here, my old PC. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna take the lid off like this. We're gonna pop this off. And this fan is connected, so I do need 2 hands for this, but I'm gonna be recording a time lapse over here on the GoPro, and I've got the chesty mount on, so you guys will be able to see kind of like what I'm doing with my hands in front of me, and I will check in from time to time and update you guys on like what I'm doing and what's going on with this camera. But what I'm gonna do first, I'm gonna take everything out, I'm gonna clean it, and then, you know, assess like, you know, what needs to be really, really cleaned. I did do a deep clean on this computer back in September, so it shouldn't be too bad. But I'm gonna be taking off the heat sink that, you know, comes with the current Corsair liquid cooler that I have on here, the old H80. You know, cleaning off the top of the processor or whatever if there's any thermal paste left over. And then, you know, maybe popping out the RAM, kind of seeing if those need to just be kind of cleaned up a little bit. We'll go from there. I'm super pumped. Alright guys, exciting stuff is happening today in the office. As you can see, I have finally stripped down the motherboard. We've just got the motherboard here, and this is the first time since I built it that I've been able to see the processor. Check it out. There he is. Little guy in there, he's always the one just doing all the hard work. He needs to be cleaned off, but we're getting there. And I'm very excited that I was able to get that off, the liquid cooler off, because it gave me a little bit of trouble. I think it was kind of stuck on here, and this doesn't look all that great, so I don't know. I mean, I guess the thermal paste that comes pre-applied probably did its job, but anyways, I'm very excited to see the processor. That is a good sign. It means I can get in there and clean it out, or clean it off. I'm not gonna take it out of the socket. I don't think I need to, but I've got the RAM out, so here's the RAM, what these little guys look like. So those look good. You know, next I gotta take out all the drives, and the power supply needs to get removed. I'm gonna clean off the motherboard there. It's fairly clean, but like places like up top, like here, are kind of dusty. So I might have to kind of go in there with some Q-tips and clean that out. But anyways, things are going well, and I'll update you guys when I can. Alright guys, so everything is out. The computer is empty, as you can see. The motherboard is right here. I've got some rubbing alcohol, which I'm gonna put on these little cotton wipes to clean off the top of the processor. But yes, this case is probably going to be retired, slash if I ever need another like PC for something, I'll use this case. This stuff all might go back in here someday. This might become a backup PC or a streaming PC or something if down the line sorry, I thought something looked bad on there, but it's fine. If, you know, because my goal with this is that obviously I didn't want to spend all the money to build a brand new PC when a lot of these components are still great and still work well, even in 2017. But in a couple years, if I do build a fully new PC, well, I might need, you know, rather than having just these parts sitting on the shelf by themselves, I'd rather maybe just have them at least in a case. So that might be what this is for in the future. But in any case, I need to get to cleaning the motherboard because it's a little bit dirty, just like I said, on top of certain things. But hey, so far so good. The only problems we had so far is that one of my GoPro batteries is almost dead, but it's charging, so it's not a big deal. Alright guys, so I got the motherboard all cleaned off. We've got all our new parts out here, as well as obviously, like, you know, the motherboard, processor, RAM still back there, power supply here. But it's time to get this case prepared. So let me show you guys that now. All right, so let's do this. Take the bag off. This case looks sweet. It's got a tempered glass side panel, so we'll go ahead and pull this off. Oh yeah. Look at that, baby. Caution, tempered glass, handled with care. So this is gonna look really sick, but I gotta get all this stuff opened and unboxed. The graphics card is sitting under here, so we'll just cue it to the time lapse of me opening up all this stuff, and we're just gonna get to building. Alright guys, so this is a little exciting. I've got the motherboard plugged in now. I'm so happy because this setup is a dream. In my old case, in my old setup, I had a big unit right here off the back of the case that basically prevented me from doing this right here with the cord that goes in. This cord right here, where my finger is, basically is the power supply for the CPU, I believe, into the motherboard. And what I had to do previously, because I had this big block back here that was my liquid cooler for the CPU, I didn't have room to do this. I didn't have room to have this little dongle hanging off here, this little piece of wire, you know, sticking off up here or whatever, because it was interfering. So I ran it. All I could do was I could run it from right up here across the graphics card, across, and it just like intersect, you know, it just bypassed everything, and it looked really bad. And everyone that saw it on, you know, photos or whatever, you guys would always say, well, that cable management is a little poor. And I was like, I know, it's the best I can do. Until now, looks way cleaner. Now, I do wish I had a fully modular power supply. Unfortunately, I don't. It's a semi-modular one. If I had a fully modular one, I could get a cable that wasn't like these stupid mustard colored ones that look weird and gross and aren't very flexible, but I'm dealing with what I got. Let's continue. So today got a bit derailed as I was trying to figure out how to get these fans properly attached with the radiator, which I'm still kind of working on. I had to get the little guy out, and I'm speaking about Remy, of course, who is over here now. He's hanging out with me in my office. Maybe he wants to say hi. You want to say hi, bud? He just had a little treat. No, he doesn't want to say hi. You want to say hi? No? Okay. So things got a bit derailed. It's nighttime now. There was a supermoon tonight, by the way. I'm recording this on December 3rd. I don't know when this is coming out, but I'm recording on December 3rd. There was a supermoon tonight, so I took some photos of that, which is really exciting. I'll be posting those on Instagram, so make sure you guys follow me on Instagram if you want to see what those photos end up looking like. But just wanted to kind of make this little bit here, let you know that the time lapse will probably look a bit different now. There's no daylight coming through, so let's continue with that. I think I'll pick this up hopefully tomorrow, where hopefully the computer is running. We'll see how it goes. guys, so it is late. It is 1 in the morning and I'm still awake because I really just wanted to finish this today. Not the whole video, but I wanted to at least try and boot it up and just make sure that the motherboard posts. So everything is in. Everything's in the case. It's looking great. Lighting's a little bit dim here. See if I can show you guys some. I got a flashlight. I'll try and shine it in here. Like, cable management is wonderful, except on the backside. The backside right now is a complete and utter mess. If you don't believe me, again, not enough light here. It's too dark, but as you can see, as I shine lights around, I mean, it is. So all the cables in the back are just basically hanging out of the back of the case. I really don't care. I kind of want to just plug this in and just check to see if it works. If the motherboard posts and it works, great. I'll probably just go ahead and install Windows and then, I don't know, maybe I'll go to bed, but I'll probably end up just setting this thing up tonight and recording the rest tomorrow. But I'm a little nervous. I had a couple issues. The mounting plate on the back here that attaches to the graphics card totally didn't fit. I had to bend it myself. I don't know what EVGA's problem was. My last graphics card was kind of like that too, although it wasn't quite as bad. But this time the mounting plate, just like the screw holes just didn't line up whatsoever. And I actually had to like physically bend the metal to get that thing to go in. And thankfully it did. Other than that, really it's just been like a piece together day. I just haven't really had like 100% time because of the dog and everything to focus on the build. But it should be ready. The last little thing that's bugging me is these tubes. These tubes, I'll show in better lighting tomorrow, but yeah, whatever. Let's see if this thing posts. All right, guys, so here we go. Moment of truth. Again, it's like 1:25 in the morning. It's time to boot this thing up. I've got it plugged in. I've got it plugged into the power. I've got it plugged into a single monitor. Nothing fancy. Nothing fancy. So let's see if this thing turns on. Oh, power supply's not on. Hold on. Okay. Oh, yes. You guys see that? Fans are working. Something's not right. It shut off. Wait. Nope. Hold on. It's booting up again on its own. Do your thing, motherboard. Do your thing. Oh, it posted! We're in! Yes! Oh, it's been such a long day. What a relief. Oh my gosh, that's so exciting. And look at the fans, dude. They look freaking sick. Oh my gosh, I'm so relieved. Yes, I guess I'm technically 2 for 2. Let's make sure I can get Windows set up and installed properly. I can't take my eyes off these fans, yo. Look at these things. They look so pretty. I'll give you guys like I'll do an official rundown. We posted, we're in. I don't have a keyboard plugged in yet. Just cause, what is that? Oh, I hear the liquid flowing through the liquid tubes. My other one didn't do that. That's pretty cool though. Anyways, I don't have a keyboard plugged in, so I'm gonna shut this off. I'm gonna take some time and set this up properly. I'm gonna focus, but holy smokes, I'm excited. Yes, I've never been so excited to see this screen in my entire life. Normally I just see it and I'm like, get me to Windows. Today, I'm like, yes, you beautiful ultra durable series, Gigabyte boring screen that just looks beautiful. So happy to see you. All right, boot drive, let's put her in and see if this thing works. All right, guys, so it's morning of the next day. I didn't get much sleep last night. I stayed up really, really late. I went to bed at like 3 a.m. I was really frustrated because I was having some issues with the graphics card, and every time I booted up the system with the cable going to the monitor from the graphics card, the system wasn't working. It would just get it would freeze on the BIOS screen. The keys on my keyboard just wouldn't work. I couldn't access the BIOS or anything, but the splash screen was there. As soon as I uninstalled the graphics card and then just booted my system up off of integrated graphics through just the motherboard, got to Windows just fine because I already had Windows installed and everything on my solid state drive. So I was super confused. I ended up updating my BIOS this morning and plugged my graphics card in. Lo and behold, it worked. It booted up to Windows. I'm now installing Java. I've already got Chrome installed and Windows 10 is pissed off at me. But we're installing Java, and then I'm going to be installing so I can run the little utilities so I can get the proper driver for my graphics card. Then I got to download and do all the drivers and everything for the new system. And then once all that is good and I know everything is running well and I've tested all the ports and everything, I'm going to seal up the case, put all the cords back where they should be, and we'll be good to go. All right, everybody, so this is a very happy day. We are some time after the initial recording of this video. As you can see, the computer is back here running very, very smoothly. A couple issues I've had since I recorded the last part, which is basically the whole first part of this video that you've seen up until now. I had to send my graphics card back, which delayed this video by a lot. And the reason for that was that I was experiencing a phenomenon called coil whine, which I guess has something to do with a coil inside the graphics card that when, you know, triggered at a specific voltage or something, it begins to whine and it makes a noise similar to like electricity flowing through a power line, but it kind of fluctuates with whatever you're doing in your video game. It was pretty annoying. This one still does it. According to my research, that means that I probably need to replace the power supply. Not that there's anything wrong with it. It's just that I guess more modern power supplies probably work a little bit better at avoiding that issue with a very modern graphics card like that, like the GTX 1080 that I have in there now. So, you know, I sent it back initially just to make sure that it wasn't the one specific card. This one does it, but it's a little bit less, so it's slightly less annoying. But anyways, that derailed this video by a couple weeks. It was very, very annoying, and then the holidays hit. So I apologize for getting this out so late, but better late than never. Also, I've had some issues lately overclocking my processor. I don't know what the heck's going on. I've never done that before. And everywhere I turn online, I've been getting conflicting methods on how to do it. And of course, I'm doing it on a motherboard and processor that are like 5.5 years old. So with that being said, I am gonna show you guys some benchmarks that I took before I dismantled the old PC and before I built the new one. And there's some graphs behind me here, and I'll show you guys that in the video. But just know that those graphs were all taken with an overclock of 4.5 gigahertz. I was able to do all the tests and play all the games needed to get these benchmarks at that specific overclock that I did. However, I kind of felt after looking at it for a while and after having one crash later on that probably wasn't stable, and the temperatures or the voltage was a little bit higher than I probably would have liked. I don't know. I just haven't had a whole lot of time to dive into it. So right now, at the time of recording this video, I'm back on just stock settings, but I was able to achieve some benchmarks with an overclock processor. And so those are the charts that I want to show you guys now, because I feel like once I'm able to fully spend the amount of time that I want to, you know, I wanted to get this video out, so I wasn't able to spend, you know, weeks and weeks trying to overclock this thing to perfection. But nonetheless, the benchmarks should be accurate according to a 4.5 gigahertz processor, which would, you know, be this Intel i7 3770K overclocked at 4.5 gigahertz. So without further ado, let's get into the benchmarks, and I'm gonna show you guys some graphs that I put together. All right, guys, so I've got some graphs here, and I'm gonna go through these real quick. So the first graph we're gonna be looking at is PC boot time. This is just the amount of time that it took me on the SwifterBox 11000 versus the new computer, which I'm gonna be calling the Stardust 1 because of all the amazing colors that you see inside the rig. Kind of reminds me of, like, you know, an like looking deep into space, in intergalactic space. So Stardust 1, all these graphs, the Stardust 1 measurement is going to be in this like orangish yellow color, and then the SwifterBox 11000 will be in the blue. So for PC boot time, obviously lower is better, and this is just basically from the moment I press the power on button to the point at which I didn't see my mouse cursor spinning anymore, meaning nothing else was really loading. Maybe there was a background program or two still booting up, but you know, at that moment, at that point in time, you know, you're able to get into Chrome, you're able to get into whatever, start up any program that you need to do. So with the SwifterBox 11000, you know, I was looking at 73.24 seconds on startup, and now with the Stardust 1, it's about 44.97. Obviously, a lot of that has to do with the fact that we now are running Windows off a solid state drive, and I cannot express how insanely fast this thing is. It is ridiculous. Like, even shutting down is quick. It takes like 5 seconds. It's insane. Like, I don't mind turning off and turning on my PC anymore because this solid state drive really makes a huge difference. And I honestly, you know, I know some of you may be watching this video for some advice and stuff like that. I can't stress enough how important having a solid state drive is. For 5 years, I haven't had one. I never had one. This is the first time with one. It is literally life-changing. And I know you're gonna sit there and be like, well, yeah, but they're kind of expensive. They're a lot more affordable now. You don't have to have all your storage on there. You could get like a 128 gigabyte solid state drive and put all your storage, on a much cheaper, because mechanical drives are cheaper, like 2 terabyte hard drive or something like that. Guys, I'm telling you, solid state drive, I know a lot of you might already know this. I'm just speaking from personal experience here in doing this for the first time. Life-changing, absolutely life-changing. And I'll show you some more measurements here as to how else that affects performance just throughout the board. So the next thing we're gonna look at here, and this is probably the most telling factor of the solid state drive itself in terms of speed. I benchmarked 3 programs that I use fairly regularly, both for my video and photography work. The graph speaks for itself. So we've got, the 2 bars here. We've got the 3 programs. We've got Adobe Photoshop CC 2018, Adobe Lightroom Classic CC, and Adobe Premiere CC 2018. And the blue bar is the SwifterBox 11,000 running on the old hybrid drive, which, by the way, hybrids are faster than mechanical drives, but this solid state drive just blows this sucker out of the water. I mean, 10.66 seconds opening Photoshop versus 71.8 on the SwifterBox 11,000. Look at Lightroom. It used to take me 40.26 seconds to open that program. Now it takes under 10 seconds for me to click the button on Lightroom and then get into my images. And Premiere, was about cut in half. The time it took to load Premiere was about cut in half. And so from Premiere, both Photoshop and Premiere, I benchmarked it to the point where when you click on the program, how long does it take to get to the window in which you can click to open your project? Premiere, I mean, it used to take 32.8 seconds. Now it's at about 15.89. So it's amazing. The solid state drive really, really speeds things up, especially for bigger programs like these Adobe programs that I use. Okay, so then I wanted to jump into some games, and the first game I played was Skyrim Special Edition, and I realized that this probably isn't the best benchmark to show because Skyrim SE, it caps at 60 frames a second. I did 2 benchmarks. I did both a high graphics benchmark and an ultra graphics benchmark. So the ones on the bottom are the high and the ones on the top are the ultra. Yellow is the new build and blue is the old build, and they're roughly the same. The old build was running a GTX EVGA GTX 680 for the Win edition. That did well. It held up. It was great, especially on high graphics. You can see the minimum frames for the 680 was 57, the max was at 61, and the average was 60.489. Skyrim wasn't giving that graphics card any problems. The GTX 1080, sure, it outperforms that a little bit, but with a game like Skyrim that's already capped at 60 frames, we're not seeing a whole lot of jumping around on high graphics here, where the minimum is 59, the max is 61, just like the 680 was, and the average is just, it's 60. I mean, it's 60.539, so there's no change there. Now, where I did see a big change was at ultra graphics. So at ultra graphics, my old rig, the minimum frame that I was getting was 30. And now with the new rig, the minimum frame I'm getting is 59. So playing Skyrim SE on Ultra, that's a huge jump. So with the 1080, that's at 59, which is sweet. And then the max is the same at 61 for both, but then the average was 3 frames higher. So on the old rig, it was 57.122. And the new rig, it's at 60. I'm able to play Skyrim SE and have an average frame rate of 60, which it's capped at 60. So that's just great. I know I'm going to get those 60 frames regardless. For these gameplay, benchmarks, I just tried to sort of walk the same path. So I just walked a little path down a mountain from an intro quest at the beginning of the game and just made it out into an open field and just sort of did that over and over again for my benchmark test. The next game that I booted up was GTA 5. There's definitely some other games I could have benchmarked, but I didn't want to necessarily spend the money on just buying a game like Tomb Raider or something that has its own benchmark, when realistically I'm probably not going to play a whole lot of Tomb Raider. Anyways, I did have GTA 5 and I did a 3-minute gameplay benchmark where I basically drove my car from the same spot on the highway and then into the city area for 3 minutes. And as you can see, there was a slight improvement with GTA 5 in terms of the max frame rate, but overall it was pretty much the same. I'm not 100% sure why that is. I was expecting higher results, and it's quite possibly user error. Like I very well, there might be a variable in play that I just overlooked and wasn't paying attention to. and that's why there wasn't a huge jump in frames in terms of the average frame rate between both of these rigs. You know, obviously the minimum is about the same. Minimum frames is 59 on the new rig, 58 on the old rig. Max, like I said, 86 on the old rig, 93 on the new rig, so it is a bit higher. And I do have 120 hertz monitors, so I'm able to experience those higher frame rates above 60, which is cool. But like, you know, if you look at the average, I mean, old rig 71.767 and the new rig is 72.7 or 672. So really not much of a difference. I'm not 100% sure why that is. It very well could have been that my settings were off and they weren't exactly the same. I kind of forgot to like screenshot all that stuff beforehand. Total noob. I know, I've never done this before, so apologies if that is. But like I said, the max frame rate is a bit higher, so that is kind of nice there. Then I also wanted to do some more just program-specific benchmarks and use programs that were specified and are created to benchmark your computer and their performance in specific areas. This one specifically is for your graphics card, and I decided to run the 3D Mark Firestrike, not Firestrike Ultra, just regular old Firestrike, because I don't think my old rig could have even run Firestrike Ultra. Basically, this is just the results of this test are essentially just comparing the GTX 680 to the GTX 1080, and this is what we got. So the graphics score of the new rig was over 22,000. On the old rig, it was a little over 7,500. So that jump for the graphics score is huge. I mean, the number there is insane. The physics score might be huge as well. I don't really know how that correlates, but the new rig we're looking at like 11,473 and the old rig was 9,764. The combined score of the old rig was 2,927 and the combined score on Firestrike of the new rig was 7,104. And then the overall score, the difference here is it's very noticeable, obviously. The old rig we had 6,713 and the new rig we have 16,542. So much higher numbers here, more noticeable improvement. And even what I noticed, even just while watching this test being performed, it was so much smoother and it was great. No frame drops, no stuttering, nothing like that I was experiencing on the old rig. So the new rig really blows this test out of the water. So then I also ran Cinebench, and this test, I think both your graphics card and your CPU. So the bottom score, the OpenGL, I believe is with your graphics card. And the old rig, I got a score of 84.77, and the new rig, I got a score of 101.45. I feel like I could get a higher score on that. Maybe it was just a bad test run. I don't know. I should probably test it again. But anyways, that is a score there. And then with the overclocked processor, you know, if I hadn't overclocked it, the CPU score would probably be about the same at 669, just like you saw on the old rig. But because I overclocked this processor for this test to 4.5 gigahertz, I got a score of 809. So once I have more time to spend to overclocking this computer, I'd like to get it at, you know, a stable overclock at 4.5 if possible, 4.5 gigahertz, because increased score like this, especially on something like Cinebench, which is doing a render, would help me out immensely, especially when it comes to rendering videos and stuff like that. So it was good to see the improvement there. And last but not least, I also ran a program callud Unigine Heaven Benchmark 4.0. So this is another graphics test, and basically the maximum FPS I was getting with the new rig was over 400. It was 430.7 FPS, and the old rig, the max I was getting with the GTX 680 was 165.5. The minimum frames per second I was getting on the new rig was 36.7 versus the old rig, which was 25.5. And the overall just FPS score that it gave me for the new rig was 229.4 versus the 74.8 I got on the old rig. And then it gives you like an overall score. So this chart here is just the overall score. And as you can see, the new rig with the new 1080 Further Wind 2 edition scored 5,778. And the old rig scored 1,883. All right, guys, so I'm gonna leave you now with some just awesome glamour shots of the new PC build. I hope that you all enjoyed this video from me, my new brand, and my new adventures here on YouTube. I'm really hoping that this new PC will allow me to continue making, you know, high-end content into the next couple years before I probably go in and upgrade the whole rest of it. But I just want to say thank you guys so much for watching this video. It was an absolute blast for me to make. I really personally enjoy watching tech type videos like this. So for me to actually spend the time to make one and have it be a personal experience where I'm working on my own personal rig was just immensely fun. If you guys ever have any questions about PCs, you know, building your own and stuff like that, please feel free to hit me up on Twitter. I like responding to you guys and helping out with stuff like that. Most importantly, I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope maybe you learned something from it. And I also hope you're just as excited about the future of this channel as I am. I am so pumped to be, you know, on this journey and on this adventure of trying new things. The fun with that, obviously, is that every new video is going to be something hopefully totally different. So guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Enjoy the footage of the fully built PC. Let me know what you think down in the comments. And guys, I'll talk to you later. Peace. Okay, I'm back. I have one more thing to say that I completely forgot to mention during this entirety of this video, to thank some very specific people for helping me with this. I feel kind of ashamed that I had forgotten to do this in the intro, so I'm going to do it here at the end. And I just want all of you to know that all of these people have helped me a lot with this build. Not only with, you know, helping me pick out parts, but the last guy was an immense amount of help. So first of all, I just want to thank everybody on Twitter that helped me at any point. I know I tweeted out some things about parts and questions and stuff like that, so a lot of people helped me there. But specifically, I got a lot of help from Bodil40, who's another YouTuber. So Bodil, thank you so much for all your help with this build as well. I got a lot of help as well from my friend Shibby, who works at ETC, and he helped me out with a lot of specific questions I had also. But the person that I have to give the biggest thank you to, helped me probably the most. This person, you know, I was messaging constantly with random questions, very specific questions pertaining to my specific build, specific problems that I was having. And being that this person worked in the computer field, they were able to help me out. So I want to give a huge thank you to TMFTP, also known as Too Much Free Time Productions, or at TMFTP_videos on Twitter. I don't know your real name, but thank you so much for your help. Seriously, I probably asked you 1,000 like ridiculous questions or just like oddball things that I either wanted to know the answer to or something that was happening that I just didn't understand. So thank you so much for putting up with me and helping with this video. Obviously guys, I already said this, but I'll say it again. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.